This story comes from a woman in India. She is 37 years old, lives in Kolkata, is married, and is a mother to a 5-year-old child. On the outside, her life looks stable, even blessed. But behind that calm surface is a woman quietly slipping back into a darkness she once fought very hard to escape. This is her story, sent to us anonymously, edited only for clarity, not emotion. I am 37 years old, married for 10 years, and on paper, my life looks perfect. I have a dutiful, caring husband and a beautiful child who is 5 years old. I work in a government bank. My husband works in healthcare, and financially, we are comfortable. People around us often say we are lucky, that we have built a good life, and for a long time, I believed that too. But what people don't see is the weight I've been carrying for almost 2 decades, a weight that never really left me. 18 years ago, I lost both my parents in a car accident. I was very young, and I was an only child, with no siblings to share the grief. There was no one who truly understood the silence that followed. What came next was even worse, and it changed the direction of my life completely. Relatives I once trusted turned greedy overnight. There were property disputes, court cases, visits to police stations, all at an age when most people are enjoying college, friendships, love, and freedom. I never got that life. Around the same time, I was in a relationship with a man I loved deeply, believing he would stand by me. Instead of supporting me, he exploited me, emotionally and physically, and then disappeared one day without explanation, without closure, leaving me shattered and deeply traumatized. Those years took everything out of me. I fell into depression, and my body started reacting to the emotional pain through anxiety, panic, and recurring health issues. I consulted a psychiatrist, and with therapy and medication, I slowly learned how to survive instead of collapsing under the weight of everything I had lost. I didn't turn to alcohol. I didn't seek casual relationships. I cut off my relatives completely, choosing isolation because it felt safer than betrayal. I told myself that if I could just get through each day, that would be enough to keep me alive and moving forward. 10 years ago, I married my husband, and before marriage, I told him everything, every detail of my past, without hiding a single truth. He accepted me with compassion and patience. For the first time since my parents' death, I felt chosen, loved, and genuinely safe. Over time, I began to heal. I became more positive, built a family, became a mother, and slowly allowed myself to believe in happiness again. My husband became my entire emotional world. Since losing my parents, I have always craved deep love and emotional security. I truly believed God had finally answered that prayer and given me a life where I could finally rest emotionally. Then, in 2023, something happened that reopened wounds I didn't even know were still bleeding beneath the surface. I unexpectedly ran into my toxic ex at Chennai Airport. He tried to speak to me, but I didn't respond and walked away without looking back. Later, through a common friend, I learned that he had settled in Kolkata, very close to my office area. I was shaken, but firm in my decision. I had no intention of reconnecting or reopening any door from my past. I went home and told my husband everything immediately. I believed honesty was the right thing, and that transparency would protect our marriage. But after that, something changed in a way I never expected and couldn't immediately understand. My husband slowly became emotionally unavailable. He stopped opening up, conversations became shorter, colder, and he began avoiding any deep discussion. At first, I thought I was imagining it, but the distance kept growing, and with that distance came a familiar fear. It was the kind of fear I had lived with after my parents died, the fear that whispers you will be abandoned again. I tried to talk to him, to reassure him, to understand what he was feeling, but he kept avoiding the conversation entirely. There was no anger, no accusations, no confrontation, just silence. And that silence hurt more than words ever could. I have no one else, no parents, no siblings, no extended family. My world is my husband and my son. I emotionally depend on him in every way, and realizing that he might be slipping away has pushed me back into depression. I started having panic attacks again. My heart races, my mind doesn't stop, and I overthink every small interaction. I keep asking myself questions I can't escape. Is he insecure after 10 years of marriage just because my ex exists somewhere in the same city? Was telling him everything again a mistake? Did my honesty cost me the one relationship that made me feel safe and protected? I love my husband deeply. I would never cheat on him, not emotionally, not physically, and I have confirmed there is no other woman in his life. Still, the emotional distance remains, and that absence feels heavier than any accusation ever could. I consulted a psychiatrist again. I am back on nerve-calming medication, and that thought terrifies me deeply. Do I really have to live my entire life depending on pills just to stay functional, just to survive each day? I am exhausted, mentally, emotionally, and physically, and I feel like I'm slipping back into a place I fought so hard to escape. I feel low, lost, insecure, and vulnerable. I am scared that I am losing my husband, not to another woman, but to fear and silence. I want my old husband back, the one who understood me, stood by me, and loved me without conditions or emotional withdrawal. I don't know if I am overthinking or if my intuition is trying to protect me from another emotional collapse. All I know is that my mental health is deteriorating, and I have a child to raise who needs a stable mother. I cannot afford to fall apart, but I don't know how to hold myself together anymore. This story is not about cheating. It is not about blame. It is about trauma that never fully heals, and how past wounds can quietly return when we least expect them. We ask you, if honesty creates distance instead of closeness, what should one do? How do you reassure a partner who becomes emotionally unavailable without losing yourself? This is the Untold Gist, where real people share the stories they don't know where else to put.